What is going on, SoFi fans? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to give you a quick overview of the data points, what they're all saying behind the scenes, some latest updates, and where things might be going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So currently up 3.06%, a little bit more of a tentative value rally that is happening today because ever since the Q1 earnings, this has just been going down way too much. A little unjustified in my opinion. But there has been some pretty good updates since the earnings, one of which is that they partnered with Expedia Group to offer more affordable travel. And so this hands down is what makes SoFi SoFi, that all-in-one component. So with the whole Wyndham deal and them offering home insurance and various other things, you can get absolutely everything that you want through SoFi. So I think their customer base is just going to continue to increase, especially by them doing a lot of these strategic partnerships. So yes, if the stock price goes down, who cares? SoFi is going to be a huge entity, bigger picture. And like I said, I think by them increasing the member growth every single quarter, that just brings up more profit. That brings up deposits and more products. It is good for everyone. So definitely SoFi is going to be a big force to be reckoned with if people haven't already, despite good old Jim Cramer, the curse of Jim Cramer, him saying that he liked SoFi initially, and then him recently on the second saying SoFi is no different than any other of the regional banks. So kind of interesting to hear him say that. That might be the green light for potentially SoFi to run now. But outside of that though, I just want to give a quick shout out to Anthony Noto, because I cover a lot of other stocks under both of my channels or several of my channels. And whenever the CEO is acting kind of crappy, I always refer and use Anthony Noto as a benchmark. He literally is one of the best CEOs I've ever seen because he believes in his company. Anyone can receive stock from, for instance, their company and have it restricted, and yes, they believe in the company, but Anthony puts up his own physical money. So as you can see, he did buy 50,000 shares on the 4th. Definitely, this is just next level stuff. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on that in the comments below. And when it comes down to some of the data points, like I said on the actual chart, it is below a lot of the pivotal moving averages, unfortunately. So you kind of have to look at the fib levels to give you a good indication of where things might be going. And currently it is at $5.10. So it is below the physical, the S3. So considered just massively overdone. So typically even stocks that is trading between this S3 and the S2 can be perceived as junk. So the fact that SoFi is below even that status, it goes to show that it's just been manipulated so heavily. It just does not make sense. This conveniently did come out today though, or today, and it does say the White House vows to monitor illegal short selling. And this gave me a couple laughs because it does say in here that they're finally assessing the possibility of market manipulation. And keeping in line with market manipulation, I will give you guys a quick overview of shorts, because shorts have really stepped up ever since, for instance, SoFi had that little bit more of a tentative dive with their earnings. Short score is currently 75, utilization is 100%. And as far as what shorts are doing today, they're increasing a very small amount though, but 5.11 thousand. So very small. But it did jump ever since their earnings from around 10.5% to 14%. So 14.02% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 112 million shares. And when I talk on, for instance, market manipulation on how they're saying that there's a possibility of it, the White House, of course, this is a very good indication. So looking at cost to borrow, there is a broker out there that is only charging 0.07% for someone to short SoFi. So that's very much incentivizing, for instance, shorts to increase their position. And funny enough though, this is an annual rate. So you're paying like 1 cent every single month for the most part. So it's kind of free to short SoFi. This is why there is currently 112 million shares versus a lot of other stocks that is out there. A lot of growth stocks do have around 9 to potentially 15% being the average for cost to borrow. So this is abnormally low. So just be aware of that. As far as options activity today, you do see a lot of calls. So clearly a lot of people are assuming and finally realizing that SoFi is at a substantial discount and are taking advantage of these discounted prices. So currently $1.47 million worth of calls versus 366,000 for puts. So very much oriented towards upside. Keep in mind, options activity does not necessarily move the stock price, just a little bit bit more of a sentiment. And as far as big money over the last couple of days, today there hasn't been too many, but as far as yesterday and the previous days, you can see 3.11 million, 1.47 million, 3.32, 1.67. So a lot of big money has been getting into SoFi for a while now. And just even scrolling down a little bit more, 4.03, 4.26, and this was the day of the earnings, of course. So you do see, like I said, a lot of big money is taking advantage of this. And like I've gave on my last update prior to the actual earnings, I did say that it was very noticeable that big money was taking a step back and clearly waiting for the earnings. But after the earnings, they clearly decided to increase their position. And like I said, I just want to give you guys a quick overview of all the updates. That is also including, for instance, analyst ratings. So you do see a new one today that was from Bank of America, from 𝗪𝗓𝗧𝗛. Looks like gave an $8 price target, and prior to that you do see a lot that was more so around the whole earnings per se. So you do see, for instance, Wedbush, Oppenheimer, Credit Suisse, Citigroup, all of which have, as you can see, a pretty good price target. Still a little bit low in my opinion, who isn't a financial advisor, of course. But it's funny enough, if you actually look at a lot of the ratings, a lot of them aren't necessarily the best. So for instance, Timothy, who gave a $7 rating, only has a 46% success rating. And for instance, even here, David, I can't say his last name, at Wedbush, only has a 39% success rating, but yet he downgraded SoFi to a $5 rating. So it's kind of funny that a lot of these analysts clearly do not know whatsoever what they're talking about. Even, for instance, David only has a average return of, I guess, 4% over the last little bit. So definitely something to consider bigger picture. But like I said at the very beginning, I want to give you a good overview of potentially where things can go. So like I said, based on everything, this is now went from overbought to very, very oversold. But yet you do have a nice bullish sentiment behind the scenes starting today. Number of retail investors are starting to get back in. So of course, I think that's a pretty good sign. But generally speaking, I do feel that there is a lot of big resistance points above it, but most likely I can feel over the next couple of days it is going to settle around the 575 range. I don't know if there's enough to get above that point particularly, but especially if you do look at a lot of the technicals, this is where a lot of the heavy resistance is. So $5.75 is where I feel it can easily bounce to in the short term. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.